your realm, what is it that makes the tipping point to go from just a hunch or an idea to say,
Well,
yes, we're going to assign that and go for it?
And I think in our case, I mean, we occupy a space where we recognize most of what people are doing online in terms of their travel research is they're seeking out information. It's more utilitarian. It's more service oriented. We don't have the luxury of in a magazine format or perhaps on TV as well, where you can really have lots of great feature stories, interest stories. There's more of a purpose. Someone is hunting for something online, typically. And so in our case, we tend to focus the editorial around the two domains of the deals curation. That's one part of the team. And the other is on destination editorial, but that's focused on money-saving advice. So that is our mantra around how do we help people save money, whether that's the low end or the high end. So it could be an article about budget travel in Jerusalem or wherever. It could be an article about smart luxury travel in wherever. So we can cover it from different angles, but we do try to focus in on the nuts and bolts of new hotel openings or restaurants or perhaps new great value destinations that we want to cover in Europe, something along those lines that fit the overall strategy or mission of the site itself.
And I guess for myself, I write in different genres. So when I'm working on more guidebook type material, a lot of it, well, you know what, it's always advanced preparation. I never hit a site cold. Often the story will change once I get there, but I try and do as much research as I can before I get there. Then if I'm writing a guidebook, I literally have a spreadsheet with where I have to be for 7 hours of the day. And then I try and leave 2 hours free just to roam, because when you wander lost, you find the greatest things. But for example, when I was doing Pauline Fromer's Las Vegas has 3% of all of the hotel rooms in the United States. So just to see enough hotels to really review them and know what I was doing, I was there on and off for 7 weeks, and I stayed in a different hotel every other night. The back of my car, my trunk was my chest of drawers, and I had all my clothes in there, and I would just pull out two outfits and bring them into the hotel, and that's how I would live. And I would spend the mornings seeing other hotels that I couldn't stay in. I would then eat 2 lunches. I would see 4 roller coasters or attractions. I would have another 3 things for dinner, which is why I had to go to Weight Watchers. And I would see 2 long-running shows and see how they all stole each other's jokes. And then I would go to 3 or 4 nightclubs because I had to review those. So I was going from 7 in the morning till 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. most days, which was exhausting and not very good for my health. So that was guidebook writing. And guidebook writing, I mean, it was funny because some of these places I was reviewing, like I had to review strip shows. And so I'd be sitting there with a pen and paper taking notes, feeling like the biggest pervert. But so that's that kind of article. And then when it's more of a story, I go in, I read a lot of history. Sometimes I read a lot of crappy history. I read James Michener's Poland before I went to Poland, and it gave me a real idea. I approached Poland to kind of follow the heritage of my grandmother, who I was named for and never knew. She left Poland when she was 16. It's a long story, and I'd always heard about the pogroms and the terrible things that happened there because I'm of Jewish heritage, so I approached it with a real chip on my shoulder. And visiting it and learning its history and learning how the Poles themselves, it's kind of bully syndrome. They were constantly being invaded. They were in a terrible place in Europe, and they were the whipping boy for most of Europe. And it gave me a very different feeling about Poland and about what I wrote. And for the first time in my life, I thought I was going to write about how great it was she had escaped Poland, and I realized that my grandmother really lost a lot when she left, that there was a very beautiful life for the Jews there, and that became the article. So
I find for myself that one of the biggest challenges of this profession is actually getting your work done, because when you're on the road, There's so much to see, to do, to eat, strip shows, as you just discussed, that, and people often say, well, you can work anywhere, you can work from the hotel room, but when you get back to the hotel room, you might have just had a very long meal, you've been out all day, you're jet lagged, and you just want to go to sleep, and you have to get up the next day at a very early hour to get a head start. So, when do you actually get your work done? And what does that look like? Val, do you want to start? Do you want to start?
Well, it's all dictated by when the deadline is. My pieces air on Mondays and Thursdays, and then they rerun on the weekends, so I know that I have a deadline, and I push it to the very end, because I'm a total procrastinator, and I wish I wasn't, but that gets me motivated. So yeah, that's pretty much the scenario, but I know what I need to get done, and I'm dying to always be one ahead, and I try really hard to get one piece ahead, but it just doesn't seem to work with me. And I'm very much, I like to characterize myself as like just a travel factory. I'm a content provider. I am constantly churning it out. And I think that's why I've had the measure of success that I have had and longevity in television, is that I'm able to just get this information out and do it quickly. And I have a particular format for New York One that I have to fulfill. So I kind of know it with my eyes closed.
So you have very immediate deadlines then?
Very immediate.
Right,
Oh
which
yeah,
is,
I'm
which
thinking
is not
about.
the norm for writers, for example.
No, I'm thinking about what am I doing Thursday? And today, and it's Tuesday night. So it all comes together. I mean, I have a sense of what I'm doing in the next couple of months, but I am a PR person's worst nightmare if someone's trying to pitch me a story and I need information, and I'll be like, okay, I need it now. What is it? Give it to me.
Have you already put together your Thursday piece yet?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now, but it's a roundup of Halloween spots to go up and down the East Coast. So I mean, that's a simple one. That's something that I'm doing, that I acquire video about. I'd say maybe just 1% of the stories that I do comes from acquired B-roll, and so to me that's like kind of a fun throwaway piece. That gives me a breather too. So I sort of go in little stretches, where all summer long I went from Maine down to South Carolina for a Getaway Not Far Away series, because keeping the economy in mind, we wanted to do a series where people could just drive to their destinations. And I was constantly on the road all summer long. So like right now I'm in this sort of breather mode before it picks up again.
James, when do you get your work done? How do you actually get the work done, James?
I think that probably, unlike Val's case, there aren't specific deadlines. There may be blog posts or articles that eventually will get done, frankly, either on the plane or while I'm there or when I get back. So I do have more flexibility perhaps than most. But I would say that with writers that we've worked with, a number of them are independent freelance writers, and one of the positives is they can construct whatever schedule they want. At least with us, because we don't usually have hard and fast deadlines, we can be quite flexible. And so I would hope that they're able to manage a trip where they're able to build in enough of their own personal vacation time, along with doing what they need to do in terms of writing responsibilities. But there's no question that there is a bit of a tension there that has to be balanced.
Like Val, I'm very deadline driven, and I think deadlines are great for writers. I think it was Leonard Bernstein who said that great art is made by people working really hard in not enough time. You just never have enough time. When I was writing with the guidebooks, information changes so quickly. And it takes a while for the manufacturing process of getting that book into print. And so you rarely had more than 5 months to research and write a 350-page book. And so when I was writing the Pauline Frommer guides, I knew I had to write 2,000 words a day to stay on schedule. And if I didn't get to my 2,000 words a day, I didn't go to sleep. I would just make sure to get it on the paper, and then I could go back and fix it the next day, but I had to keep it going. And now I have a weekly column, and it's the same thing. I know that deadline is there, and I've just got to fulfill it. So I take notes constantly, and I use my iPhone a lot.
iPhone to what?
Well, if I'm reviewing lots of hotel rooms, they start to look alike. And so I will take little videos on my iPhone and I'll narrate what I see. This is the so-and-so hotel. Oh, the bed is really squishy, that this is that. You know, the water is, the tap water is really strong. And that way I can go back to, that's how I'm using technology, and it really helps.
I tend to just take pictures of signs in strange languages so I can remember what they say, because you never seem to be able to find them again online.